In one of the craziest games of the season, Arsenal have done it again, as Mikel Arteta's comeback kid stole the point in the 97th minute after a Reece Nelson screamer. This game had it all. So from Mikel Arteta's super subs to the masterclass from Thomas Partey and the performance of our defence, let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14, welcome back to your boys channel, and today was the definition of sensational scenes at the Emirates Stadium, a 97th minute stupendous winner, and we've got so much to analyse. So as per, smash a like if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy as we are now on the road to 200,000 subscribers. But starting off with the importance of Aaron Ramsdale. Now this was meant to be an easy game at the Emirates Stadium, so many fans confident going into it. 2-0, 3-0 predictions. Arsenal were in for a surprise, and in the first minute we were given a sucker punch, or should I say 9 seconds. That is all it took Bournemouth to score the second fastest goal in Premier League history. Not only is it way too easy for Bournemouth to get the cross in, but also in terms of clearances, potentially Gabriel should have done better. It caused quite a shock, I couldn't believe it, but from that moment it's all about the response. Arsenal did not dwell, they started to win the ball back, they started to sustain their own pressure and play their football, but sometimes we were overcompensating, and that allowed Bournemouth to counter-attack. They were making chances, and there was a very important moment in the first half where our goalkeeper saved us. Solanke plays in Philip Billing, who squares the ball over to the Bournemouth attacker. It feels all but a Bournemouth goal, but there was Aaron Ramsdale standing tall and making the save. One of the saves of the season, one of the most important moments in this game and maybe in Arsenal season. To win a title, you need your keeper to be decisive in top moments, and to make 1v1 saves is very, very important. We have seen it with the likes of Alisson year in and year out. In this game, Ramsdale only had to make 4 saves in total. For top goalkeepers, it's less about being active and more about being concentrated. In this game, Ramsdale made some massive saves which proved to be decisive. It kept Arsenal in the game in key moments. For me, he's been one of our more consistent Arsenal players. He's kept 11 clean sheets in total, 8 away from home. The saves against Spurs at home and Spurs away. He's developing a trait of making important saves in important moments, and that's what top goalkeepers do. At 24 years of age, I think some fans forget how young of a goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale is. In goalkeeper terms, he's still a bit of a baby. His game is far from perfect, but he definitely is improving. Come the end of the season, we may look back at these important saves and see them as season-defining moments. There is no denying that defensively Arsenal have to improve. We've only kept 3 clean sheets at home this season. For a team that wants to win the title, that is not good enough. I feel like at home sometimes the Arsenal defence is overcompensating, too focused on attacking, sustaining pressure. Our line is very high, and therefore there's a lot of space in behind. And in this game, despite Bournemouth not having decisive attackers, they were breaking in behind, they were causing issues and making massive opportunities. Today Ramsdale saved us, but going into the future, especially in home games, is vitally important that Arsenal improve their defence, remain concentrated and not fall asleep like they did for the first Bournemouth goal. Moving on to the second thing, persistence pays off. The tempo in this game was set moments after Bournemouth scored. They were going to park the bus and play a very deep block. It was all over to Arsenal, can you break us down? And for Arsenal, it was very difficult. But there were a few occasions where Arsenal could have and maybe should have had a penalty. The moments that stand out is that first handball from Chris Mepham in the 33rd minute, and then you also have a potential foul on Tomiyasu towards the end of that first half. The VAR controversy continued into the second half. A potential handball from a Martin Odegaard shot, and moments later a handball potentially on Philip Billing that also was not given. 4 potential penalties and Arsenal got 0. A lot of fans after the game were very angry, but for me it was all about forgetting about the referees. These guys have let us down on numerous occasions. The team that we had out there was more than good enough to break down Bournemouth. It was all about taking responsibility, breaking Bournemouth down, and eventually after going 2-0 down, Arsenal found a way, scoring 3 goals in total with an XG of 2.64 and Bournemouth 1.43. The overall stats may be the most dominant of the season. 30 shots on goal, 80% possession, 786 passes, 109 final third entries, and a 5.1 expected threat created. I don't think I've ever seen a field tilt this dominant. Arsenal had 92% in total, wave after wave of Arsenal pressure, and Arsenal were taking a lot of shots. As pointed out here, Arsenal took 31 shots today, the highest total for any team in a match in the Premier League this season. The bus was firmly parked by Bournemouth, and for Arsenal it was all about making opportunities out of limited space and sustaining as much pressure as possible. The passing networks are actually hilarious. On one side you got the Arsenal team firmly in the Bournemouth half, and then you've got Bournemouth Bournemouth, where the defenders are literally sat in their box. Somehow after all of that, Arsenal found themselves 2-0 down. Football's a funny game, but in this game it was all about patience, being persistent and not giving up. And there was two Arsenal players that for me summed it up. The first one being Alexander Zinchenko with a 7.7 overall rating, 118 touches, 85 passes completed, 4 key passes, 1 long ball, 6 out of 6 ground duels and 5 out of 6 aerial duels. Look at those numbers there and tell me if you see a left back. Zinchenko has become the metronome of his Arsenal team. He is so important in every phase of play. And yes, going forwards, I still believe he can improve. But in terms of getting the ball into the final third, progressing it into it, there's a reason why Mikel Arteta starts Zinchenko week in, week out. He has become a pillar of Arsenal's build-up play. His numbers are of a top midfielder. And in this game, he played a very important part of tiring the Bournemouth defenders. Constantly playing the ball into the final third, eventually, these guys gave in. The way he celebrates the Arsenal goals is the way he plays, full of passion and determination. There was another Arsenal player that epitomised that, and that was the Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard. An 8.2 overall rating, 101 touches, 61 passes, 3 key passes, 3 accurate crosses, 1 long ball, 3 shots on target, 3 off target, 5 blocked, 2 dribbles and 6 ground duels. In total, Martin Odegaard fired off 11 shots in this game, the highest of any Arsenal player. He was also the highest player on the pitch in terms of expected threat created. And in total, Odegaard played 17 progressive passes in this game, by far the highest out of any player on the pitch. Despite of that 0 goals and 0 assists, some fans may see that as ineffective, but I see a player that constantly is trying to make something happen, never giving up, and ultimately that persistence paid off. You see, one of the key reasons why Martin Odegaard is the Arsenal captain is because this guy is always working hard, and even if things aren't going his way, this guy never stops. That's why in the Premier League he ranks as the highest player in terms of possession won in the final third. He sets the tempo of the Arsenal team, and the other Arsenal players have no choice but to follow. These two players have given Arsenal a never say die attitude. This team has now showed that it's able to win games in different game states. Against Everton it was all about the free flowing football and 4-0 was comfortable. This game we were posed with a different question, but Arsenal once again found a solution. Mikel Arteta says that's 4 in a row. Winning 4 games in a row in the Premier League is very difficult. We've won 3 in a week, which is even better, and we've done it in various ways. That should generate more belief. Arsenal are finding different ways to win. This game was a prime example of Arsenal doing the right things, and even though things went against them at 2-0, with their sheer persistence and continuous dominance of the game, Arsenal broke the door down and found a way. And that, my friends, is a vital trait for potential champions. Moving on to the third thing, and that is the super subs. In this game, Mikel Arteta made 3 massive changes. In came Takehiro Tomiyasu, Fabio Vieira and Thomas Partey. In terms of Tomiyasu in the first half, I do believe he struggled. Arsenal had a lot of the ball in the Bournemouth half, and in the final third, Tomiyasu at times looked very stiff, and it seemed unnatural to him. Mikel Arteta had seen enough, and at half time he was ruthless. On came Ben White, and he made a massive difference. Now, as you can see from his heat map, a lot of Ben White's touches came in the final third. He was almost playing like an out and out right winger, and in that final third he was definitely effective, as he scored the Arsenal equaliser, and we need to talk about it. The composure from a right back who's never scored a single Arsenal goal, it was fantastic. A 0.11 XG shows the chance he had was very difficult. 1 clearance, 45 touches, 32 accurate passes and 2 key passes. Defensively, Arsenal looked better, but going forwards I think Ben White has a far better connection with the likes of Bukayo Saka. The right hand side seems more fluid when he's on the pitch. Tomiyasu is still a very important player and he's able to play across the team, but going forwards Arsenal need composed players that are comfortable in tight spaces, and Ben White seems a lot more suited to that than Tomiyasu. He wasn't Arteta's only sub, as in the first half he was forced into a change. On came Emile Smith-Rowe for the injured Leandro Trossard, and on that injury he says he felt something in his groin when he was tracking back in the first half. He had to come off, it looked like something muscular. That injury concern was not ideal, but it gave a chance for the returning Emile Smith-Rowe. Playing as that touchline left winger, I definitely think he was a bit passive. He's a player that for me excels a lot more centrally, and therefore when you play him as a touchline left forward, you're almost limiting his overall impact on the game. And to be fair to Smith-Rowe, he did actually assist the Arsenal first goal, but Mikel Arteta had seen enough and it was time to be ruthless. It was time to sub the sub. On came Reece Nelson. A lot of Arsenal fans very surprised, I myself included, but oh boy was he a game changer. He gave the Arsenal attack exactly what it needed, an injection of pace. He was very direct and always causing issues. Decisive attacking play that we had not seen all game, and he was able to assist the the Arsenal equaliser. Arteta had changed the game, but there was one more final twist. With the game locked at 2-2 and the draw on the cards, in the final seconds of the game, the ball falls to Reiss Nelson on the edge of the box on his weaker left foot, and from an XG of just 0.03, he smashed the ball into the back of the net. The scenes were sensational, the Arsenal fans couldn't believe it, and I was so lucky to be inside the Emirates Stadium. I was shocked, I was lost for words. Reiss Nelson had changed the game, he had won the game, and we have to talk about how composed he was in that moment. To smash the ball like that, the clean ball striking on his weaker foot, it was a game-winning moment, and potentially season-defining. Nelson's overall performance was fantastic, an 8.6 rating in 21 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 shots on target, 1 successful dribble, 15 accurate passes, 3 key passes, and 1 ground ball won. For the second time this season, Reiss Nelson has been quite the super sub. In 85 minutes, he now has 5 Premier League goal contributions. To put that into context, Man United's £90 million signing Anthony only has 3, having played 914 minutes. Nelson has the best minutes per goal involvement in the league, averaging 1 every 17 minutes. At 23 years of age and out of contract at the end of the season, Reiss Nelson is entering a very important part of his career. As Mikel Arteta says, football-wise, it was my decision not to put him in the squad in the last 2 games because we had other options. But he's been knocking on the door, he's been training really well, and it's a good lesson for me and the coaches that we need him, and that he can be really important to this team. Nelson's a very good dribbler, he's got a burst of pace, and as we saw in this game, he's got the ball striking, secure in the final third, and also player willing to learn. The key part here is if he can stay fit, because fundamentally Reiss Nelson has all of what it takes to be a very important player. Comment down below, what do you believe Arsenal should do with the future of Reiss Nelson? The impact of Mikel Arteta subs were also seen off the pitch. Here's a fantastic video of Jorginho coaching the Arsenal players during the game, almost like he's the manager. That experience of being there and doing that is exactly why Mikel Arteta has signed him, and you can't underestimate the importance of that on what is such a young Arsenal team. Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is the midfield changes. This game saw the return of Thomas Partey to the Arsenal starting lineup, and he was back and better than ever, scoring Arsenal's very important first goal to get us back into the game. In 90 minutes he had 106 touches, completed 7 out of 7 long balls, an 85% passing accuracy, 20 passes into the final third, 12 recoveries, 1 chance created, 1 successful dribble, and 1 very important goal. His on the ball ability is undeniable, but off the ball is what impressed me the most. Time and time again in this game, when Bournemouth tried to counter-attack, Partey was there to win the ball back straight away, winning 5 ground balls in total. That is a difference between him and Jorginho. You also had the first stop for Fabio Vieira at the Emirates Stadium in the Premier League. As Mikel Arteta says, both Ben White and Granit Xhaka were dropped to the bench purely to manage the minutes within the squad. Up stepped Fabio Vieira with a massive opportunity, and to be fair, it was a bit of a hit and miss performance. At times you saw what he can offer Arsenal, his close control in tight spaces and ability to dribble. In total he made 3 chances, but this is a very well drilled Arsenal team, and I don't expect for Fabio Vieira to gel into it straight away. To maximise Fabio Vieira, he needs time to adapt with the players and build those connections. But I do believe going into the long term, the plan is to start both Fabio Vieira and Martin Odegaard in the same team. And Mikel Arteta wants to replicate what Man City have with Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. But what did you guys make of Fabio Vieira's performance? And do you believe he deserves more chances going into the future? Moving on to the 5th thing, character of champions. To win a title, you need to be able to bounce back in games, not dwell on errors, and show the comeback of champions. In this game, 2-0 down with 60 minutes played, Arsenal produced one almighty comeback. And since the World Cup, Arsenal have come from behind to win 4 times. The ability to come back is something that Mikel Arteta's team lacked for so long, and last year we only did it once. But this is a different Arsenal, and this stat sums it up. Arsenal have recovered more points from losing positions than any other team in the Premier League this season, with 15. Arteta's Arsenal have mastered the ability to bounce back when the going gets tough. In all of those games after conceding, Arsenal have only gotten stronger. In fact, this team seems to thrive in tough environments. Arsenal are fighting to the end, and that's what champions do. In terms of the title race, before the Arsenal game you had a massive result for Man City, who beat Newcastle at home 2-0. But after Arsenal's 4th win in a row, they remain 5 points clear at the top of the league with 63 points. And for Arsenal, there are some tough tests to come. Next up, it's Sporting Lisbon away, then it's Fulham away, Sporting Lisbon at home, Crystal Palace at home, then it's the international break, Leeds United at home, and then a massive game against Liverpool away at Anfield. 5 points seems like a massive gap, but as we have seen earlier in the season, gaps can go within games, and that's why I'm trying my best not to get too overexcited. But at the same time, you also have to give Mikel Arteta his praise. This guy is not a normal coach. To be one of the youngest managers in the league, and to fight off Pep Guardiola's Man City with a robot that is Erling Haaland, the most expensive Chelsea team ever who are spending £500 million. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool full of experienced winners. Yet somehow in some way, Mikel Arteta has got the 2nd youngest team in the Premier League, sitting 5 points clear at the top. This guy deserves immense amount of praise for us to even be here in the first place. He is definitely an elite coach in the making, and if he wins a title this year, he will become the youngest coach in Premier League history to do so. His celebration for the Arsenal winner was mad, and he says, "Crazy, you lose sight of where you are. I started to run, I didn't know where I was running. Then I saw a kid next to me and I had to give him to security. Looking at the faces of the supporters, the smile and joy in their eyes. It's just great to live." This is the best that Arsenal have been in a very long time, so Arsenal fans, be excited, be happy and start smiling. But deep down, stay calm and composed, because yesterday was massive and it may be season defining, but bigger tests are to come. That being said, what are your thoughts on today's game, and how did you celebrate the crazy last minute Arsenal winner? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2, a game that had everything, but ultimately Arsenal with the 3 points. That's all that matters, and we keep moving. I'll see you next time, take care and in a bit.